Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. So the Warriors closed out a game at home against the Wizards, 135-126. And if you watch that game, you got to admit that once Washington started hitting some shots, got it down to 7 and then 6, you were like, oh no, here we go again. You know, I was a little concerned that they might lose the lead, that they might kind of cough up this one as well. But I'll be honest, even though they were up like 19-20 or something like that, and it got down to single digits, I felt pretty good because I just don't really think the Wizards are a very good team, and they're not. But I just don't believe in Kristaps Porzingis or Bradley Beal beating you at home in a game like that where they have to come back from so far down. But hey, maybe I'm still kind of a Warriors optimist in that respect. This was one that the Warriors needed. I feel like throughout the season, because they've hovered around 500 for so long, that there's been so many games where it's like, oh, this is kind of a must win. Oh, this game means a lot. Oh, this game could tell us something this way or the other. And I felt that about this one too, because, we're coming up on the All-Star break. And as I've said before, I kind of looked at this last 10 game stretch and I was like, oh, well, hopefully I would love if they could finish 7-3 before the break, get a sense of who they are, get some confidence, get some good vibes going, some mojo back, so that when they return from the break, they're like, okay, this is who we are, and let's just get to work. Right now, they are 5-4, so they could be 6-4. I mean, it's not the 7-3 I'd hoped for, but 6-4 is more than acceptable. The quick turnaround to the Clippers game in LA. The Clippers, I believe, are pretty darn healthy, and they've been playing overall better than the Warriors, at least more consistently over the past month or so. So it'll be tough. And, if they end up 5-5, it is what it is. That's where they lie, because that will make sense. Because if they end up 5-5 in this final 10 game stretch before the break, then they will be 29-29. Right now they're 29-28. If they could snag this game against the Clippers, it would mean a whole lot to me, but also to them. You know what I mean? Because if Klay's not playing, if Steph is obviously out, Gary Payton II out, and you're going on a road back-to-back from Chase Center to crypto.com or whatever it's called at this point, then that would do a lot for the confidence of the team, some of the supporting players. And it would, I keep saying this phrase, show us who they are. The Warriors are just kind of like, okay, we've seen who you are, but who are you now? And I think that's the big question mark in this game. They were a lot better in some of the areas that they've had problems with recently. They kept the turnovers relatively low. They only had 14 compared to 17 for the Wizards. And they fouled 19 times compared to 15. So it is what it is. But at least they got 15 free throws. That's something, right? That's better than 12. That's better than 9. So they were 11 for 15. But more importantly, the Wizards only had 21. So 6 free throw differential, although the Wizards hit 7 more total. The Warriors still chucked up a bunch of threes. They were 20 for 40, a nice round 50%. And, when they hit their threes, they play well. Kerr said after the Lakers game, hey, we're a team that's not built to get fouls, to go to the basket, get fouls. We're a team that's built to hit three-pointers. Obviously, it was kind of something, especially in the throes of the James Wiseman, Gary Payton II trade debacle fiasco. It's like, well, you had a guy who could probably get some fouls or score in the paint. But again, that's gone. That's over with. As you obviously know, the Warriors, they decided to go ahead with the trade and accept it. And they filed a complaint with the NBA regarding the Portland Trailblazers. I'm not exactly sure what that means. From everything that I've read in terms of, people with knowledge on this stuff, it's not likely that the Warriors are actually going to get anything out of it directly, like on the court. They're not going to get an extra player. They're not going to get an extra pick or two. It's going to be, are the Portland Trailblazers fined? Are they reprimanded? Is there any kind of punishment for them? More about the Blazers than it is about the Warriors getting something. It could be. And, someone in the YouTube comments said to me that, it's something where the Warriors could potentially pursue it. But again, that just sounds like to me that they will, maybe Lacob get some money, or if they get anything, it's not going to affect the rest of this season. So to me, that's very moot because I'm not dealing with it here and now. If we get like a second round pick in 2025, right now I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. So, you just deal with the task at hand and what's in front of you. And we've said for a long time that Andrew Wiggins hasn't looked like Andrew Wiggins from before his injury. We all know that his absence was a big deal. He was the second best player on this team, second most consistent player on this team up until the time he got hurt. And that was a really, really huge blow for them. He had never been out with an injury that long. So my concern was that it would take him a while to get back to where he was. His shooting stroke was so accurate. And because he's not a naturally, pure shooter, I worried about that coming back. And it hasn't really fully come back. But in this game, the Warriors needed him really, really badly. I mean, they're going to need him until Steph gets back. And obviously they'll need him in general, right? Because he was their second best player in the playoffs last year. So Wiggins, 39 minutes, 12 for 23, 3 for 6 from 3, hit both of his free throws. That's nice. 7 boards, 4 assists, no turnovers, 29 points plus 21. Oh, man. He gets a chef's kiss for that one, because that is an amazing stat line for Andrew Wiggins. And he was aggressive. He was going for dunks. He wasn't settling. He was taking the ball into the low post, and he was going after mismatches. And that's what you want from him, right? Like the whole thing about Wiggins last season was that he's finally being aggressive. And I feel like he hadn't been that aggressive lately. And again, it's just one game, but at least we know he can access it still. And we know, hopefully this is a confidence builder for him, because the Warriors, they can't go anywhere without him. They can't go deep into the playoffs without him, plain and simple. You know what I mean? If people are hoping for Gary Payton II to come back in 3 months, if Wiggins isn't Wiggins, then you're not going to see Gary Payton II until next season. Klay Thompson, 36 minutes, 10 for 21, only 4 of 13 from the field, but he had 27 points. And what I liked about him is, he shot a bunch of twos at least still too. You know what I mean? And he took the ball in the post. He went for mid-rangers. And again, getting those twos, even though they shot up 43s, like that's where they can still take advantage. When Steph gets back, obviously he changes everything. That dude goes for twos, right? He takes what the defense gives him. He'll step in the line, go for mid-rangers around the elbow. And I think the Warriors need to continue to do that. Even if they're not built to get into the paint or go to the basket, it's something that they still have to figure out how to try to do. You know what I mean? There's options in this offense to go to the basket. So I think that they need to unlock that a little bit, because you're not going to shoot 50% from 3 every game, as we've seen. We've seen that as of late. When they lose, it's because they shoot poorly from 3. And the other things, they cough up the ball, etc. So it's a good win. It's a nice win. I'm like super happy about it. And I mean, the thing is about the Warriors, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I said this after the Dallas game, like, I'm pretty sure every team knows that the Warriors cough up their leads in the fourth. So no team is going to stop. No team is going to quit coming after them. They're waiting for the Warriors to miss those threes. They're waiting for the Warriors to cough up the ball. They're waiting for the Warriors to foul. So those things are things that the Warriors need to continue to tighten up a little bit. And, you know, we'll see. It's just one way, like, it's the rest of the season is just going to be like, get your lunch pail and, tough out these wins and find a way and try to get better every game, especially while Steph is out. We still don't know exactly when he's coming back. He'll be reevaluated after the All-Star break. So that's a big question mark. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. And then also Gary Payton II, Bob Myers had a presser today. He said that they'll reevaluate Payton in a month, which is great. I mean, if he can come back before the end of the regular season, that will be amazing because he can get his wind, he can get his rhythm, he can rebuild his chemistry with the team, find some chemistry with the newer guys, etc. And then you're starting to figure stuff out, starting to figure out how to play into the postseason. But, as of now, this is who the Warriors are, and we don't know who they're going to get in the buyout market or who they're going to go after right now. Bob Myers, again, in his presser, said they'll look at people, but, he needs to consult with the coaches, the coaching staff, and Steve Kerr, because why get somebody if you're not going to play them? And when I heard that quote, when I saw that quote, I was like, oh, that sounds like a shot at Kerr. You know what I mean? About the whole Wiseman thing. And it may or may not have. I mean, I'm not in their offices. I'm not in the locker room. For all intents and purposes, we've heard over the years that they get along really, really well. Who knows? But it may have been a shot of him saying, like, why get somebody when you're not going to play him? It's like, exactly, why get Wiseman if you're not going to play him? So that's a whole nother debate. You can read between the lines, try to parse things, try to see if there's any shade being thrown or like seeing if people can't help themselves in front of a mic. But, that is what it is. But on that note, like, I do wonder, I mean, it's been out there for a while, whether or not Bob Myers is going to come back next season. And a lot has been reported over the last couple months that he doesn't have a contract yet, that maybe Lacob wants to have his kids run the organization, maybe Dunleavy, maybe Bob Myers is just ready to go. Maybe there's a bigger, better, more well-paying job just waiting for him somewhere out there. I always thought that, hey, I'm sure the Lakers job would be amazing, but Rob Pelinka is on a contract extension. Also, he just made a couple trades that turned him into a hero after he'd been a pariah for the last few years, So that's not open. The Clippers, who knows? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not really sure what teams, GMs across the league are on the hot seat or whatever, but I can definitely see Bob Myers being highly, highly valued and having almost a bidding war amongst a couple teams if he got out there. So you never know. Maybe he's kind of over it. Maybe he's kind of done. Again, I think a lot of what happens to this team on the court, in terms of players, coaches, and front office stuff, I think a lot of that really, really just depends on how this season plays out. So playing the Wizards tonight made me think back to that opening preseason run they had in Japan against the Wizards. And when everything seemed okay, we were all so innocent then, right? Like, the vets looked like they were having fun. They were excited to defend their title. They were still on that high. And the young guys, including James Wiseman, they all got to play. It looked like, wow, this team is really, really coming together, starting to figure stuff out, But of course, That was maybe the high water mark of this season so far. And it all went downhill from there, right? Less than a week later, Draymond punched Poole and things just got weird. The season started. No one played well except for like Wiggins and Steph. And here we are now, this season long malaise, right? And I mean, after this crazy trade deadline where this whole Payton Wiseman Sadiq Bey trade was all just drawn out, it's like, man, this is agonizingly annoying. Just let's move on from the past and let's just go. And now we're here. And now you just kind of shovel that, behind us. And we look at the guys who are on this roster and who might get healthy and where they can go. The task at hand, right? Looking forward to the future. You know what? It's going to get interesting. This is where like the fun part starts, to be honest. And whatever happens, I'm 100% here for it. The Warriors, we're like, oh, maybe they could flip the switch. And then if they could only find the switch, maybe they could flip it, right? But we know that if they can start clicking, that they have a chance against anyone in the NBA. So that's what you can hang your hat on. But then they haven't shown it at all, right? And I don't think anyone who's pessimistic about this team is wrong. I don't think anyone who is optimistic about this team is wrong, because we just don't know, because we've seen both of those teams show up on different nights. And if like they play well and all of a sudden like blow through the rest of the season and go into the postseason strong, it's not so much, and I told you so to anybody who thought that they were done. It's like, well, finally they played well. We know what they can be if they play well, right? But can they do it consistently? Can they fight or continue to fight Father Time? And can the young guys continue to fight Father Time and get older faster? You know what I mean? So that's going to be really, really interesting to watch no matter what. This is such a unique season compared to previous Warriors seasons. And I'm 100% here for it, because either they're going to make me happy and surprise the world and all of a sudden be like, yo, we're here, and make a deep, meaningful playoff run, or they're going to flame out, fall short of expectations, and things are going to change. We don't know how much they're going to change, but in terms of, players on the court, coaches, front office, GM stuff, things will evolve. And as a fan, obviously I want them to win, but like, let's be honest, if they continue to flounder, it's going to be great theater, plain and simple. Like that's how I look at it. Just, it's going to be a fascinating story. Not that I want that. I definitely don't want that. I'd rather talk about the games and how well everybody's doing and how fun it is. But all this other stuff, it's like, you start thinking about the future of this team. You start thinking about, are these guys eventually going to lose? As my buddy Aaron in Toronto says, like eventually they'll lose as a trio healthy in the playoffs, right? Steph, Klay, Draymond. So hopefully it's not this season. But, if they don't get broken up, then eventually it'll probably happen. But regardless, I'm here to watch everything unfold, and it's going to be a hell of a ride. We're here to be entertained, right? So you got to find something to entertain you in case they don't, stumble into that dark room, locate the switch, and then find a way to flip it. Also, Steph, for the first time, spoke before the game in a pregame presser about the James Wiseman thing. And it's pretty clear. It had been reported that more or less he and the vets didn't want James Wiseman on this team. And Steph pretty much said what everybody else has said, right? Like, he needs to play, and it wasn't going to happen here. He says it just wasn't going to happen. So it's unfortunate, and it's too bad that it didn't work out. And I've spoken on that and whatever. But, it's pretty clear that once Steph says something, that is what it is. He hasn't put his foot down at least that many times over the years, but this seems like one of them. I don't know to what extent or how vehemently or how forcefully, but just hearing him speak on it, it seems like that is 100% what he wanted, and he got it. So best of luck to James Wiseman. I'll be checking out some of his Pistons games just out of sheer curiosity. But moving on.